Welcome to another podcast from Locker Room Power. My name is David the Mammal Sammel, and we're coming to you from Borstad in Sweden, where I'm having a discussion with two players that I know very, very well, Richard Gabb and Scott Clayton, who train at Team Bath MCTA Academy and are currently playing the Futures Tour. They both played Junior Wimbledon and are both past under-18 national champions in Great Britain and are making their way on the Pro Tour. So, Scott, what advice would you give to parents of a talented 12-year-old who's just starting to do pretty well in their tennis and take it a little bit more seriously in terms of how much they want to train and maybe thinking about, tennis as their number one sport?
I think for me, especially at that age, and even now, the main thing really is to enjoy what you're doing and to have fun. I think if you can do that, then you're gonna perform better for sure. Especially at 12 years old, I would also advise maybe staying in other sports as well. Not only for tennis not to be just your sole focus, but also to have that camaraderie with other people and other friends of your age, because I think that's very healthy as well.
Great. And Rich, if you were talking to parents of a 16-year-old who's maybe thinking about quitting school at GCSE after doing their GCSEs and going on the Pro Tour, or maybe considering doing their A-levels and then going on the Pro Tour or to an American college, what would you advise them? Would you advise them to finish their A-levels or, get on the tour at 16 or what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think for sure finish your A-levels. That was the mistake I made. I took my AS and didn't finish my A2s, which actually meant I was ineligible for college. So that basically took that decision away from me when it came. I'd have to sit a year out, be redshirted, not play matches for the college. So that gave me no option other than to go on the tour. And I know from guys who've been to college and everything, that's also a great way to gain experience. And also find out if tennis is really what you want to do. So that's definitely a great option to have.
Do you in any way regret the fact that you chose to, or were kind of forced to go straight onto the Pro Tour?
I don't regret it, no, because I basically made the decision to quit school because that was one of the best years I had in juniors. So I am glad I made that decision because I am now playing tennis at a decent level, and it's what I've always wanted to do, and it's what I still want to do. So for me, it was the right decision, but I can't guarantee that for everybody.
Great. And how difficult, Scott, have you found the transition from junior to the Futures Tour, and what advice would you give yourself now looking back at the large age of 20?
21,
looking back at 18, what advice would you give yourself?
Well, for me, like Rich as well, we both ended our junior careers pretty well, in quite good positions, and both felt that we could do something on the pro circuit. I think looking back on it, and advice that I would maybe tell my younger self would be not to expect things to happen straight away. Tennis is a very long process, and it's a process that Rich and I are definitely still in, and every day just trying to get better, really. I think that was the biggest mistake I made was expecting too much of myself and expecting it to maybe be a bit too easy, because of my good end of juniors. So I think that if I was to do it again, I would just concentrate on getting better day in, day out, and let the ranking follow. And yeah, because I mean, if you start to expect things too high, then it's easy to get disheartened very very quickly.
And what about you, Rich? You've been doing it a little longer than Scott. You've had a couple of very good wins, and sampled the Challenger Tour as well as the playing a lot on the Futures Tour. Would you have any advice for your younger self, and also how are you finding the transition from Futures into Challengers?
Well, I think the transition has similarities at every single level. Obviously, knowing that it is a transition, you kind of go into the better tournaments thinking that players are quite a bit better and you have to perform better than you ever have, which is probably false. I mean, you're at that level, you're ready to make the transition, so that's the level you should be playing and can play. You don't need to expect more from yourself, like Scott said. I think that was a mistake I made. I went into matches thinking I have to be 110% of myself, and
that's a lot of pressure, isn't it?
It is a lot of pressure, and again, you find quickly you get disheartened when suddenly you're at 90% and not 110.
And to be 110% all the time is
it's impossible.
Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, like I'd just say, you are at a level that you are. If you put that level on the court, see if that's good enough, because more often than not, it will be. And I think that's what helped me last summer when I actually got a few wins on the Challenger. I wasn't, trying to play out of my skin. I was just trying to play as I am, and that was enough to get some wins.
And guys, how important would you say the physical aspects of tennis are now? Because I know when I first came to Bath, Rich, you weren't in the strongest shape of any player, and you've now developed and worked so hard to become a really superb athlete on the court. Do you feel that maybe you could have started that process earlier?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I came out of school as a little chubby kid. Came to Bath and obviously
I was being polite.
Yeah,
you're still a chubby kid.
But no, I came to Bath and quickly realised, from the environment, especially being around other like top athletes, swimmers and the rugby guys are in the gym. It didn't take me long to realise that physically you have to be pretty spot on. So yeah, I knuckled down and got on with it, and I'm sure Scott will agree. Like at school, we probably didn't do quite as much as we should have. I mean,
no, I mean, yeah. Rich and I, we went to the same school, and we had a good training program, but we were all, because we were so young, we were all a bit naive really, as to what was needed, and yeah, like Rich said, when we came to Bath, training with the other athletes around us, it's a real motivation, because you see what they're doing week in, week out, and we need to meet those same standards as well. And I think, especially with tennis, there's so many different attributes of physical needs that you need. The speed, the strength, the endurance, the power, flexibility, stability, so on and so on.
In other words, tennis is a very tough game.
To put it bluntly.
Yes.
Yeah, because psychologically it's a really tough sport as well.
There's enough on your plate mentally. You don't want to be worrying about the physical side of it as well.
No, if you can go,
that's a very good point.
If you can go into a match knowing that you're physically in the best shape possible, and knowing that you're one of the better ones in the tournament, then your main focus will be your game and how you put yourself out on the court mentally.
Very good, guys. Over the next few weeks, you're going to play the grass courts, have an attempt to, hopefully play pre-qualifying for Wimbledon and make it through to the qualifying for the first time. The grass court season always sends British players into a bit of a mental spin in that they so desperately want to do well at home, in trying to make it to the biggest tournament in the world. But you've been there a couple of times before now. How are you going to approach it this time?
Well, for me personally, I think I'm going to be a bit more relaxed about it this time. Like I said, I made the mistake a few years ago of trying to play a higher level than I need to. I mean, I've been picking up a bit of form recently, so that's going to give me a bit more confidence coming into it. But also, I just think I need to relax and just play my game and just see what happens.
I think also just to enjoy the experience. Being British, we get a lot of opportunities over the grass court season that not many people can get in their careers, and I think to enjoy that and just to relax into it will help our games a lot more rather than worrying about it, so to speak. So like you said, we're gonna jump up in level a bit and try and play the challengers with a hope to doing well there and hopefully looking at Wimbledon qualifying. But it's not every week that you get to play on grass. It's a very short season, so just to enjoy it really is the main thing for me, and I'm sure for Rich as well.
And in going into this grass court season, you guys have had some real success in doubles. I mean, how many titles? I think you're both into double figures now. 10 or 12 or 13 titles each, but you've won enough with each other, and you're also going to attempt to play doubles in these challenges. What does doubles give you on the tour? Because obviously the main focus for most players is the singles, and you guys, obviously, I know the focus is your singles. However, the success in doubles, how has that helped you on the tour, and what's your feelings about doubles for players, starting out on the Futures Tour as well?
I think first of all, definitely the experience you get in doubles of going further into the week. I think if you're around the tournament on the Thursday, the Friday, the Saturday, then other players look at you and that they have maybe a bit more respect for you, rightly or wrongly so. I think also doubles as a whole can help your singles game massively. I know for a fact in myself that my returns have got a lot better. My volley is also a lot better. I feel much more comfortable at the net than I ever have done. And going into this grass court season where a lot of the tennis can be played at the net, it's gonna be a test. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I also think, I mean, whether Scott can say this as well, I enjoy playing doubles with Scott. So for me, it's a nice way to relax in the tournament. I mean, especially when I was going through a stage where I wasn't winning as many singles matches as I'd like. We were doing all right on the doubles court, so it helped me to enjoy being at these tournaments. I'd probably be tearing my hair out and smashing a few rackets if it wasn't for the doubles. So it's helped me massively. That
I think also at the end of the day, one of our jobs is to try and make money, and playing doubles, yes, okay, albeit the money is not unbelievable. It gives us that bit more of an income if we can do well,
a few dinners each week.
Yeah, exactly. But we're going to be at the tournament anyway.
Yes.
So kind of why not?
Yes.
It's stupid not to, unless maybe you're injured a little bit, and obviously singles is your main focus. Then it might be wise to not play doubles that week. But when we're both fit and we're at the tournament anyway, then I don't see a reason not to play doubles.
Yes, I do know that. I've had this discussion with you probably over a year ago, where there was a little period where you guys didn't take the doubles that seriously, and I made that point that you are professionals and your job is to make money, and the whole attitude seemed to change in doubles, and how do you feel about that sort of decision? I know you've basically answered that question, but I mean, is it true that your attitudes did shift in the way you approach doubles?
For me personally, not so much. I mean, the early future success I got was in doubles. I mean, I made 2 doubles finals before I even got a singles point. So I always found, I was pretty serious in doubles, enjoyed playing it and wanted to do well at it. So, I mean, for me, the shift wasn't too big. Maybe I needed to kick up the backside a couple of times. But no, I didn't think it was.
In terms of going on the court for a doubles match, I wasn't any more or less pumped after our conversations. However, I was much more appreciative of doing well after I'd done well. I mean, for instance, I remember once in Turkey, I'd had a terrible time in singles and I'd won 2 doubles titles with Richie, yet I wasn't satisfied. Now I'd look back at that and obviously to win 2 doubles titles of any level is very good. So yeah, I think now to be much more appreciative of any success I get and yeah, just to take it in my stride really.
Now I'm going to sucker punch you guys a little bit and ask you this question. How important do you think coaching and having coaches around you plays in your tennis in terms of if you had no coach versus the fact that you do have the support of the academy behind you? And maybe this is a tough question to answer, but it's always a debate amongst coaches, especially is how much value does the coach actually bring to the table for players? And this varies from a huge impact to very little impact. And I think it also it depends maybe on the level of the player or how subtle the changes are. I mean, we've got a situation here where Edberg has definitely had an impact on how well Roger's approaching the net and how he's moving at the net. And I think overall in the quality of his volleying and positioning and net play. Now, could argue that that's extending Roger's career greatly, but then maybe Roger was also smart enough to get the right guy to help him, as an example. But it's just from your feeling as players, how important is the support of coaches and physical trainers in your opinion?
I think it's massive. I know from personal experience that if I much rather go to say maybe a tournament, for instance, with a coach than without a coach. I feel that tennis is a very lonely sport as it is. Now, if you can have someone there in your corner, whether it be a coach or a physical trainer, it massively helps you not only on the court but also off the court. You've got someone with you to share the highs and lows with, also post match analysis stuff. So I think it's massive for me personally. I don't know if Rich would agree.
Yeah, I think it's always good just to get another pair of eyes on what's happening on the court. I mean, obviously as a player myself, in a lot of matches I get a good feel of what's going on the court. A lot of analysis, I can do myself, but again, there's a lot of things that I'd maybe miss. An extra pair of eyes on the court, seeing maybe my court position, which I obviously can't see myself. A few technical pointers, which I can't see because I'm, focused on the ball so much, helps massively. I mean, and yeah, also as Scott said, like the support aspect of having someone in your corner at all times, and it's always comforting on the court.
Yeah. I mean, and also, guys, obviously, I've written the book Locker Room Power. You guys know all about Locker Room Power. it's something that, you know, we basically use day to day in the academy in terms of you know, what we talk about, and understanding, you know, the way you want to carry yourself in tournaments and the way you want to project yourself and increase your locker room power, which is basically the fear factor in the locker room and the respect that you get in the locker room. How important would you say understanding the mental progressions that you have to make is, and if you look back, you know, have the discussions on the mental side driven you forward as much as the work on the court?
As we've discussed already, I think tennis is, I mean, there's no question about it how mental it is. So I think that if you have someone to help you, and obviously Locker Room Power, the book, which I know Rich and I both travel with to use. I mean, we've read it numerous times, but we use it as a reference also if we feel there's a particular topic that we need to get out of. So I think, yeah, mentally it's massive, and if you can have someone there to help you with these things, it's a huge benefit.
Yeah, I think the mental aspect of match play is a thing that's, you know, probably not focused on enough. You know, a lot of coaches very good technical wise and do good work, get you sweating on the court. But when it comes down to it, a lot of matches are won and lost between the ears. So if you can have that as a weapon in your arsenal, I mean, it's a lot of thing. It's a thing you will have over a lot of players. I'm sure, especially at the lower levels of pro tournaments. I think there's a lot of guys just kind of floating around, hitting nice balls, but not really aware of why and what they're doing. So.
Yeah, I think everyone can hit a good ball to a level, you know. But then, like Rich said, a lot of these matches are won and lost, but between the ears, and it's knowing the opportunities when you see them and trying to take them.
When you have these discussions, do you feel like in your head that you have, like, you know, sort of like ding moments or whatever, where you just feel like, oh wow, I get that now, and have a, you know, like a new awareness, and that, you know, if you look back, you know, how much mentally you've grown with these sort of moments where you have breakthroughs. Or does it not work that way with you?
I find personally, I get quite a lot of eureka moments lying on my pillow at night. Obviously, then taking that onto the court is another thing. But yeah, I mean, especially when you're around tournaments, it's tough not to think about tennis. You know, even in your relaxed moments. Obviously, some people that it helps, some people it drives them crazy. But
also, I think mental aspects of tennis is something that you have to work, you know, towards and work at. Me personally, I don't think there's times when I understand things a lot better than I did, but also I know there's still a long way to go in understanding various things. But that's because, you know, we're both still young, and as a professional, we've still got a lot of experience to gain. So I think if we keep working at these mental aspects, and eventually we'll be at the level we want to be at.
Do you think that the approach that we bring from the academy is definitely speeding up the process, or do you feel that this process would naturally happen now that you're on this course, just by playing and being around players and tournaments?
I think you know, the work that we put in at the academy, on the court and off the court, naturally quickens the process, because every day we're mentally there and we're ready to work hard, and that's what you have to be, especially on the tour and travelling around. I think that you would learn a lot if you were to just travel and play. If you were a bit switched on, you would learn various things. However, I think training at a place like Bath, we can quicken the process.
Yeah, especially if you're a young player and you're starting out at Bath now, and I mean we've got like Sam Murray who's played Wimbledon, countless players who've played on the Futures circuit. Obviously, Dave, you've been around the tour for years. Macca, newer to the tour, but he's been in enough tournaments to bring these experiences and kind of filter them down to the lower players. So yeah, it's speeding up the process massively, I think.
Yeah, I think when we were a bit younger, we didn't have kind of as much experience around us. No one's fault of their own. So a lot of our stuff was not blindfolded, but kind of we knew what we were doing, but it would have been nicer to have that kind of extra bit of guidance. I think that if we were training at Bath when we were younger, to see the likes of people playing futures, training day in day out, and see how they work, and see what the coaches think, and getting advice from various people. Yeah, of course it helps people.
I will also say one thing though. I did feel, especially when I played junior Wimbledon, almost my naivety to the level maybe helped me, because I kind of went into that tournament so excited to be at Wimbledon. I knew none of the players there because I hadn't played at a high ITF level before, and obviously I was there with Macca and another guy, Ashley Hewitt. And it was our first time at that level. We just kind of went there, had fun, and both of us played really well. We both won a round and we made court double. It was just purely
on adrenaline.
Excitement. Yeah. We were just kind of sheep, just kind of like mulling around the field, like just blissfully having fun. So yeah, it can help.
Yeah, it can help. I agree with that. But ultimately, you need to have a fundamental understanding of what's going on.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
and it's one of the things that I've found is when people play Wimbledon for the first time as juniors. I think you guys did really, really well, and your excitement and everything, as you say, carried you through well. But in general, most players that either play, the main tournament or juniors for the first time get so excited that they actually, in a way, get caught up in all the hype of the tournament and forget that they actually have a job to do there. And by the time they get on the court, they're actually mentally very, very tired because they've been, swanning around and in a way showing off and
using
taking
the pass,
and feeling important and it's like a reward for all the years of work, and get so caught up in trying to catch up with everybody and be part of everything that's going on, and do forget that they have a job to do there. And once you get over that, and generally most people perform a lot better the second time round at Wimbledon. And just to finish it off, it's a known fact that Olympians who go to the Olympics for the first time, okay, it's a very low number. It's like 15% actually perform a personal best at the Olympics, at their first Olympics. And it's usually at the second Olympics that they actually come out and win medals and perform personal bests and stuff. And I think it's for exactly the same reason. The excitement just really, and all the adrenaline and everything like that, has them absolutely mentally shot before they actually step out, onto the track or on the court.
Yeah, I think if you can.
Scott, you were a little like that.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, but and now I can speak from experience. I think if you can try and find a balance between enjoying it, because of course you have to enjoy it. It's something you've worked towards your whole life and your whole career. But at the same time, like you said, know that you're there to do a job, and then to be able to step on the court or the track or whatever it is, and perform to what you know you're capable of performing to.
Brilliant, guys. What I would like to say is I really, truly wish you the best of luck this summer. I really hope that you get the opportunity to play Wimbledon qualifying either in singles or doubles or both. I think you both acquit yourselves extremely well, both as players and people, and it really is a pleasure to be around you guys. And let's make this summer a really good one and another step forward in your careers.
Thank you, Mammal.
Thank you, Mammal.
Right. That's the end of the podcast. Locker Room Power is available on Amazon, lockerroompower.com, iTunes, iBooks, Nook, and all the normal outlets. And we look forward to speaking to you again in the next podcast. Thank you very much. The Mammal.